Good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us at 6 a.m. on this Monday. I'm Stella Escobedo.
And I'm Carrie Lane. Let's get right to our top story this morning. The longest war in American history is coming to a sudden halt.
The Taliban have returned to power in Afghanistan, reversing most of the losses they were dealt over nearly 20 years of fighting the U.S. and its allies. Bradley Blackburn joins us now with the latest developments. Good morning to you.
Stella, Carrie, good morning. Biden administration officials acknowledged they were caught off guard by the speed of the collapse of the Afghan government. The president is watching all this unfold from Camp David, but there are reports that he could return to Washington this week to address the nation. And right now, the Pentagon is sending even more troops to Afghanistan to help get Americans out.
Taliban leaders are vowing to restore order a day after seizing control of Afghanistan.
It is important for us to take all the necessary measures for the security of people.
On Sunday, Taliban fighters swept into the capital city of Kabul, completing an offensive that saw them capture most of the country in a matter of weeks. The push happened as the U.S. withdrew most of its combat forces ahead of an August 31st deadline. Ashraf Ghani, Afghanistan's Western-backed president, fled while his government collapsed. Countless others also tried to escape. Kabul's airport was packed with would-be travelers hoping for a flight out. Last night, the State Department said all embassy personnel had been relocated to the airport.
It's a very dire situation when you see the United States Embassy being evacuated. In fact, you just had President Biden a few days ago saying you wouldn't see helicopters evacuating the embassy like Saigon, and yet here we are.
The White House defended the decision to proceed with the military withdrawal, noting it was part of a deal negotiated by the Trump administration.
Like it or not, there was an agreement that the forces would come out on May 1st. Had we not begun that process, we would have been back at war with the Taliban.
Yesterday, the Pentagon said it's sending another 1,000 troops to Afghanistan to help evacuate Americans, bringing the total deployment to around 6,000.
More than 60 nations are calling on the Taliban to allow people to freely leave Afghanistan. And here in New York later this morning, there will be an emergency meeting at the UN Security Council to discuss this evolving situation. Guys.
Yeah, Bradley, President Biden is receiving a lot of criticism over this. What is the White House saying?
Well, he remains committed to this plan to withdraw all U.S. forces from Afghanistan by the end of the month. But he is being criticized not just by Republicans, but by some Democrats. One Democratic congressman is calling on the White House to send even more troops to Afghanistan. His concern is keeping that airport open with the idea that you need to evacuate Afghan allies that have stood by the U.S. over the last 20 years. They are now in danger with the Taliban back in power. So many questions still, guys, about the end of this long conflict.
Yeah, very tense situation there.
This seems to be far from over and obviously changing by the minute. We will continue to stay on top of this. Thank you so much, Bradley.
Well, we are less than a month away from the state's recall election, and this morning the county registrar will begin mailing out ballots to registered voters.
Early in-person voting also begins today. So News 8's Chris Groh is live from the county registrar of voters in Kearney Mesa to break this all down. Make it easy for us, Chris.
Try our best here, and we of course know that things are heating up at the same time. So again, this is a good time to pay attention because you're going to be hearing from a number of candidates as well as the governor himself. Again, pushing you to either vote for yes or no, trying their best to convince you. But of course, you're also going to need to know how and when you can vote. But first, let's take a listen to Governor Gavin Newsom making his pitch here in San Diego just this past weekend.
There is a lot at stake in this election. Don't just assume because it's a big blue state that this thing is locked in.
And so let's break it down. Today starts mail-in ballots that will go out. And of course, early voting starts here at the Registrar of Voters. But of course, if you want to do some of that vote, if you want to go ahead and vote at your place that you normally go ahead and vote at during normal elections, then that's not going to be available to you until September 11th. And that's through the 13th. More than 220 polling locations will be open during that time for in-person voting. And then election day itself, that's when we sort of have that marathon in terms of of the hours that they are available for that in-person voting. That's going to be September 14th. But look, things are moving fast. We didn't just hear from Governor Gavin Newsom, but there are more than 40 candidates that are vying for his job. Remember, if you vote yes or no, you could still vote amongst all of these 40 candidates that are vying for the governor's job. We heard from celebrity Caitlyn Jenner as well as former gubernatorial candidate John Cox that were here again in San Diego County this past weekend. Take a listen.
Gavinopoly is bringing us, and that's what this is all about. The property taxes, the toll roads, the vehicle license fees, the income tax, the gas tax, the sales tax. These are all crushing the people of this state.
Newsom's never even been down to the border. I cannot believe that this guy's been in office and never been to the border.
And according to a CBS poll, 57% of voters approve of the job that Governor Gavin Newsom has done. However, that number drops off there to 52%, a very, very thin margin for Governor Gavin Newsom. Only 52% say they're likely to vote no on that ballot. Remember, again, you're going to get two questions here. One that asks you if you believe that Governor Gavin Newsom should be recalled from office. You can vote yes or no. The second question is, who do you believe should replace him if he is recalled? And remember, no matter what you vote on that first question, you could still vote on that second question. Stella and Carrie?
Good to know, Chris. Thank you. The former owner of KFMB stations is expected to appear in court later today to enter a plea in the college admissions scandal. Prosecutors say Elizabeth Kimmel, who will plead guilty to one felony count of conspiracy to commit fraud, and in exchange will receive a 6-week prison term. She has also agreed to pay a $250,000 fine and perform 500 hours of community service. Kimmel is accused of paying more than $500,000 to get her 2 children into elite universities as fake athletic recruits. An additional COVID vaccine should be available for those with weaker immune systems. CVS and Walgreens pharmacies are already offering appointments. This comes just days after a CDC advisory committee gave the green light. This only applies to immunocompromised people who received 2 doses of the Pfizer or Moderna vaccine. Coming up in just a few minutes, we're going to verify why people who got the Johnson & Johnson one-shot vaccine still can't get an extra dose. This morning, county leaders are urging all employees in San Diego to require their workers to get the vaccine or go through weekly testing. Supervisors Nathan Fletcher and Nora Vargas will make the recommendation during a media conference this morning. The county is requiring the same thing from its employees. That is expected to start sometime this month.
This morning, rescue workers are searching for survivors from Saturday's powerful earthquake in Haiti. The death toll is now more than 1,000 people, and hundreds are still missing. The epicenter of the 7.2 magnitude quake was less than 100 miles west of the capital of Port-au-Prince. Local groups are doing what they can to help in the wake of this devastation. Here in San Diego, the nonprofit Haitian Bridge Alliance is giving back to 10 families in Haiti.
We are focusing on families that are directly impacted instead of organizations and NGOs. We are working directly with impacted communities.
You can also make donations to the relief effort. We have those links on our website, cbs8.com. Now to an update on the Dixie fire, which continues to ravage Northern California's forests. More than 570,000 acres have burned. The fire stands at 31% contained. Meantime, some residents have returned to their homes. San Diego fire crews working up north posted photos of an elderly woman returning to Greenville. That was one of the small towns destroyed. She picked up her husband's ashes and wedding photos, which survived the fire. No deaths have been reported from the fire. However, 4 San Diego firefighters were injured when a tree fell and hit them last week. There are more than 100 firefighters from CAL FIRE San Diego helping fight the flames. And, you know, gosh, this has been going on for way too long, Evan. Are they getting any relief in the weather department?
Not exactly. I mean, not as much as we could use. I mean, we've been talking for weeks now about how we've been seeing watches, warnings, advisories related to heat and fire weather, low relative humidity, dry conditions out there. And that lasts not only for us here in San Diego, but all the way up to the north of us, across Northern Southern California, Oregon, where wildfires are burning. Same situation in Washington. So the greater West Coast needs a break. The good news, we have a break in sight. So take a look at what we have this afternoon. We've got forecast high temperatures still in the above average range. We're sticking with about 80 degrees this afternoon along the coast. Upper 80s inland. We have a cool down on the way, though. Current temperatures outside are still pretty toasty for those overnight lows. I mean, usually we'd be in about 67 degrees for downtown San Diego. Instead, right now we're at 71, so about 4 degrees above average. The thing is, this is all as a ridge of high pressure dominates our weather feature. Going into the rest of your week, we're going to continue to see this ridge of high pressure break down and a trough of low pressure move in our direction. As that trough starts to move towards us, that low pressure system is typically associated with a little bit of an increase in cloud cover. We'll start to see those temperatures drop down just a little bit. So more cool, more fall-like weather in play after what has been a warm start to August. The first half of August has been in the above average range for quite a bit of time. Many days this month we've seen 80s along the coast, whereas average is about 77. 82 is what we're going for this afternoon. Again, that ridge stays in place today, starts to break down tomorrow. Really, we'll see it and feel it, I should say, going into Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. That's the time frame where we'll have those cooler temperatures coming into play. Jenny's checking in on traffic. Is that crash or that lane still blocked at Bachelor Lane?
At Bachelor Lane, yes. What was it again?
That's going to be the theme of the morning.
A single lane blocked at Bachelor Lane. It is very minor. They're just cleaning up some debris. But hey, it is 6:11 on a Monday, and I do have good news for you. Nothing too redonkulous out on the roads this morning. You can see your travel times are fine. I see more green than anything else. Now, a couple of minor things I want to mention, including this, what we were just talking about, Broadway, that earlier crash at Bachelor Lane. You may notice a crew or two just doing a little bit of cleanup work. So again, single lane blocked at Bachelor Lane. 78, if you are heading at Sycamore, eastbound at Sycamore, we've got one lane blocked because of a stalled out car. Very minor. Your travel times through Vista are, really not a bother. To the South County, you can see Chula Vista, Bonita area, La Presa. Over my shoulder, there are no major issues with your freeways. The bridge itself, you see a little bit of volume starting to build up at the tail. And here, I know you see this crash. This is impacting that northbound drive right at the bridge. And by impacting, I mean barely. We did have a little bit of a backup at one point, but currently things look pretty good.